Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca. Before we start, I have a question for all of you. Have you ever thought about being an entrepreneur in your life? If you have, could you raise your hand? Um, for me, it is my ultimate goal in life to have my own startup that can help make the world a better place. So today, I'm going to introduce my project, Women in Entrepreneurship. This is the agenda for today. First, we'll start with about me. So I'm an international student from Taiwan, and my home university is Soochow University. I major in business administration. As you can probably tell from having the agenda slide, I studied business because I wanted to learn how to run a business and study every function a company might have so that I could understand what different departments are doing and use their language to communicate with them. And ever since I was a kid, there are two things that I'm certain of. The first is that I'll have my own startup. And the second one, which is more achievable, is to study abroad during my college years. And as you can tell, I've accomplished the latter studying abroad. I saw Berkeley International Student Program during my junior year, and I just thought, why not try it? And so, since I've always heard of how great Berkeley is and always wanted to visit California, plus it is so close to the home of many startups and innovations. So, of course, I knew I wanted to study classes regarding entrepreneurship, and which is why I found out about this BISP certificate in Global Economies and Entrepreneurship. I'm sorry for the background noises. It's the street cleaning car. Okay, okay. But why this project? Well, is it loud or could you still hear me clearly?
We can hear you okay.
Okay,
We can hear you.
thank you. So, why this project? I've always known in the back of my mind that gender discrimination exists. Still, I didn't know that it would significantly affect venture funding, where women founders raised only 2.2% of the total VC money invested. This stirred up my indignation and desire to unveil the unspoken rules in the industry, which linked to my second reason, which is personal goal alignment. As I mentioned earlier, I plan to build a startup. And as a fellow woman, I want to see how we can reverse this cycle, or if what we thought that might hinder our success turns out to be beneficial. And third is to create positive impact. So almost 80% of entrepreneurship books are written from a male perspective, which may not be applicable for female founders. So I want this project to be an insightful, practical, shared information where people interested in entrepreneurship can find something helpful for them to acquire. So what did I do for this project? I participated in two classes that related to entrepreneurship. One is called Marketing for Startups. Um, as a business major, marketing is my passion. However, I've never had a structured learning experience in B2B marketing. So this is an excellent opportunity for me to acquire an essential skill set to find partners and leads. And Professor Shira Abel also invited guest speakers that every week to help us understand the real startup world. And what's even more interesting is that Professor herself is also a founder of a marketing firm that use ABM strategy to help companies excel. The one on the left is called Challenge Lab: How to Think Like an Entrepreneur. I got to meet people that are also passionate about having a startup, having a side hustle that can eventually become the main hustle. And in this class, I met my amazing teammates, and we're now working on a startup project called Grounded, which is to reutilize spent coffee grounds, such as fertilizers and consumer products, starting from cafes on campus. I've also volunteered at a startup conference called Decode, where I learned a lot about the growth mindset, which I will share more about later. And not just through my own perspective, but I've also done research through book readings and online resources. And I would like to thank Professor Kaiser for walking me through how to use the Berkeley Library resources to help form my topic and focus area. And now, what I've learned. So I was so surprised to know that 82.5% of women start business alone, which I thought was the opposite. This leads to research showing that 62% of women were motivated to become entrepreneurs in search of autonomy and flexibility. And only one woman in 20 has the first entrepreneurial experience, which shows that we are more reserved and less adventurous in taking risks. With these background indicators, we see that there are significant differences between men and women entrepreneurs. But what exactly is driving these differences? I've concluded three main reasons. The first is confidence gap. Men are 72.4% confident or very confident in their success, and women is 65.3%. This leads to fewer female founders and less funding. The second is the touting skills. In the self-evaluation, men on average gave themselves 61 out of 100, and women gave themselves not even a half. This turns out to be linked to self-advocacy, which is the ability to effectively communicate, convey, negotiate, or assert his or her own interest, desires, needs, and rights. And this is an extremely favorable skill to have for an entrepreneur. The third is loaded language. Men tend to use less precise terms, and these broader terms seem to be preferred by judges who decide how to distribute the cash. So with all the information we know now, what can we do to increase our level of confidence and skill of persuasion? The key takeaways. First, fake it until you make it. Because of all of the project courses I've taken, I've had a lot of opportunities to practice public speaking. And I remember my first presentation in marketing for startups. I was so stressed and anxious. However, because of this project, I saw the power posing technique where I practiced raising my voice and having open body language that tricked my mind into thinking that I was comfortable and confident. The second is regarding touting skill. So how to market your own personal branding. This I found out that it makes a lot difference when you surround yourself with people that are supportive and encouraging. One of the pitches for the startup I'm working on needs a promotion video, and we didn't have anyone in the team has editing skills. And we were also on a crunch time, so I volunteered to make the video, and my teammates were so supportive and trusted me to take on the task, which then turned out to be a huge success. And now I've gained a new skill set, and I'm open to taking on more risks and challenges. And linking to the growth mindset. A growth mindset is where I found every successful entrepreneur, especially female founders, scored highly on. They view shortcomings and drawbacks as a chance to readjust their focus and evaluate their efforts. And last but not least is the usage of broad words. I'm a reserved person, and I believe studies have shown that most women are also very reserved. We tend to use narrow words when describing things. So after researching on this project, I learned to use broad words such as I believe, I plan, instead of I wish and I hope. And this made my pitches even more convincing and engaging. So my mission and vision for this project are to build a website to bring clarity to the startup world and support women passionate about entrepreneurship or young girls who dreamed about leading a company can find something helpful on this platform. And thank you so much for listening. Is it?
Rebecca, thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I'm truly inspired. You're amazing.
Hey.
Yeah, we need more women that are leaders and are leading in many capacities. So I'll open it up for any questions from everyone else on the call.
Hello. So I more kind of have a comment to Rebecca that I was like impressed by the overall your presentation skills, and I just thought that actually it's beautiful how much like progress, and if it really like how you told that you developed through like being very stressed during your first presentation at this marketing course, and how actually these courses that you were taking like at Berkeley helped you and just led to this presentation. So I don't really have a question, but I just wanted like to comment and say that I'm
Thank
like
you so much.
Impressed, and that it was a great presentation.
Thank you so much for that.
Rebecca, I agree with Sophia 100% and more. I thought it was a beautiful presentation, very confident and incredibly informative. And there were several things I took away from it. You had mentioned the event Decode, and there's other BISP students that were involved with that, at least one other student that I'm aware of. And I wanted to learn a little bit more if you had any collaborative time with other BISP students in addition to your other classmates.
Yeah. What was your question again?
Yes, I just wanted to know, were you collaborating closely with other BISP students that were involved with Decode? Because I have heard about at least one other BISP student that was also involved with that, and I wasn't sure how much interaction you had with the BISP students through that event.
Yeah, so I've met a lot of BISP students that also volunteer for the Decode event, and also because it's a 2 days event. Everyone that are interested or already are working on startup project can join that nonprofit event, and we have like host from Google privacy officer, a lot of like or like Adobe product like growth manager. So they share like their insightful experiences and to help us with our project with the startup we're working on. And yeah, definitely saw a lot of this student that are that volunteered. Yeah.
In the Decode event, was this also the event that involved Stanford in addition to UC Berkeley?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think they have a really close relationship with Stanford, and the class I mentioned about Challenge Lab, how to think like an entrepreneur. It's actually founded by one of the co-instructors, Chang, and she's a alumni of Berkeley. So she's been giving back to Berkeley community and helping out with Berkeley students who are interested in startups. And so she organized this event with a lot of other Berkeley alumni. Yeah.
Thank you. That's amazing. Really incredible opportunity.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the whole experience, the Berkeley International Student Program experiences has been like more than I could ever imagine. And I've learned so much, and yeah, not just like hard skills, but also soft skills. And also it is my first time living alone and abroad. And so yeah, and I love the autonomy I have now, but kind of sad because I'm heading back soon. Yeah.
That's phenomenal feedback. I actually got chills when you said that. I just think it's incredible because sometimes we just don't know what the students' actual experiences are like. So it's really powerful to hear that real life experience and what your journey has been like. I'd love to open it up to others too, to share a little bit more about any questions or any feedback to Rebecca's incredible presentation.
I'd love to ask a question. Thank you, Rebecca, so much for the wonderfully organized and thoughtful presentation, first of all. I know that you shared some reasons around sort of the differences between men and women in terms of business. I wonder if in either your classes or your studies this semester where you found like, oh, this isn't the case where I'm from, or there are these things that are sort of universal that you found to be the case, or just wanted to hear your thoughts and experiences on different cultures and how this plays into business.
Yeah. Wow. So actually, I've experienced the men use more broad language during like one of the projects I'm working on. So when we were forming our pitch, we have 3 women on this team and 1 man, and 3 of us was like, okay, so we have about this ready, and we should say we only are prepared like around here. But the guy on the team, he said, but they don't know. We should say we have this, and we should like have more like confident and he just has like a different mindset, and that kind of inspired me in a way that why I always think less of myself, and why can't I just shift my perspective, and also this leads to what I thought that might hinder, like how our reserved mindset can hinder our achievements. So actually, I think having an environment like that, we get to find like the proper skill to present. So trying to also have a really successful communication is also very important, where when he suggested we should say this amount of money, we can find like the middle ground between that. Yeah.
We have 2 more minutes for other questions.
I'll ask a question. I was wondering, amongst your 3 classes, did you take anything from gender and women's studies to kind of like contextualize this? Because I do agree there's a confidence and a competence gap. Well, it's not whether or not I agree, but I've read a few articles. And, right now in the news, there are some high profile, otherwise quite successful men who have really kind of blown up their companies. And I'm wondering if you came across studies that actually showed like a diversity of leadership, especially with women, often leads to more financially sustainable and successful companies, right? Sometimes having that balance of risk tolerance is kind of good for business. I'm not paraphrasing this very well. Like it's more than just on us as individuals to like grow our own personal confidence. Like, did you take any gender and women's studies as part of your courses?
First, I think I know who are you mentioning, but a note of that, I'm taking a lot of project courses which don't require like I don't have other times to take classes regarding gender gap, but which is where I found out like the book readings is really helpful to learn about all the statistics and to see how like the quantified measurement of gap between women and men. So I haven't had chances to have like a course regarding on that, but the book readings and online research really helped me to fulfill that gap. And I think you also mentioned how like the reserved mindset female, they're like more kind of like responsible in a way that they're not, because they're not very ambiguous. So they I think this also, I see it in my professor Shira Abel. She's very extremely responsible, and she didn't want to like during all of the layoffs, she said it hurts, like it's sick to her stomach when she needs to lay off some people. And so I think this female entrepreneurs is definitely something we can think of when we're looking for a company to work with. And yeah, it's a plus. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, just more kudos to your presentation. It was just structured very, very well. And it's interesting to, it's wonderful to see you incorporating what you've learned directly into this presentation and also all of your startup ventures. So thanks, Rebecca. It's been great.
Thank you so much for all the support, and thank you, Berkeley International Program coordinators. All of you made this possible, and yeah, thank you.